Hi friends, it's Tanya with Sweet Tea's Stampin' Spot, and it is noon on Tuesday, June 28th, so it's time for me to do our Let's Do Lunch crafting session. Today I'll be stamping a fun card with a newer stamp set. It just came out in May, and it's called the Sweetest Cherries stamp set. It has a coordinating punch, so that's what I'll be using in just a few minutes to demonstrate a fun card. I shared it with my class last Thursday at our Happy Hands here in the studio, so I figured I would share it here on Facebook Live with y'all. So let me know if you're watching. I'm trying to get the computer in front of me pulled up so I can see comments, because when I turn my phone down, of course, I can't see the comments. So let me know if you're watching, and I do have a few reminders. Of course, the end of the month always signals things are ending or coming to an end, specials and promotions, so I want to make sure I don't leave any out. There are a few things that are ending on Thursday, so I want to make sure I highlight those for you in case you were don't want to miss out on those promotions or sales. So let me know if you're watching. I found myself, so I know I'm live in the right spot. So I am going to flip my phone down now and chat for just a few minutes, and then I'm going to stamp, like I said, with that Sweetest Cherries stamp set. So give me just 1 second to flip us around. So my screen is probably pink or red on your end. I have a little Post-it note covering it, and I'm just going to adjust some lights before I flip the phone around. And hopefully, whoops, did I hit the right button? There we go. Hopefully you can see my desktop now. Waiting for my computer to catch up with me. So a couple things, of course, I do have a host code open for the month of June, so this will be open through Thursday. And if you go to tanyareed.stampinup.net, that of course is my website, and there you can access all kinds of things, including a link to shop, a link to join, my events calendar for events that I'm hosting here in Chesapeake, Virginia, and a couple here and there in Virginia Beach. I do float to a couple of venues here and there throughout the year. I have one coming up in July in Virginia Beach, actually, so check that out for July 23rd. If you're in Virginia Beach and want to join me for a Christmas card class, that would be awesome. It's going to be a really fun time on July 23rd. But for shopping, of course, there is a host code. I always remind everybody that if you're placing an order less than 100, you're welcome to use my host code. It's for the month of June, it's CF6VPQF3. And if you're spending close to 100 or over 100, two things. You either want to consider getting the starter kit, because the starter kit is $99 and you pick out 125 in product. And then shipping is free on that. And then of course you can get your discount on any orders after that for 20% off, and it goes up from there. And if you're spending closer to 150, you also want to consider doing your own party and getting the host rewards. So just a little bit about that. I'll leave that here in case you need to see it. I will also, when I edit this video, I usually put a link in the video description. Again, if it's on the YouTube channel or here on the Facebook page, you can access that link for shopping and my events calendar right there at tanyareed.stampinup.net. So like I mentioned, and I just forgot to grab something, but I will talk about it in just a second. The mini catalog that started in January is now ending on Thursday. So this mini catalog that we have been using since January is ending. So the items have started to sell out. Some of the papers and embellishments and stamp sets, if they did not carry into the new catalog and they're on that last chance list, then they will be retired after Thursday. Some of them are on sale, so check that out on the website. I don't have all the specifics per item here. I can look something up, so if you did have a question about something, I can help you figure out if it's on sale or not. Some of the items were close to 50% off on some of those last chance, but that is ending on Thursday. The other thing that's ending on Thursday is the BOGO 50% off kits collection, and those are exclusively found on the online store. And if you go to shop now on my website and click on products and then kits collection, you can see what's currently available. Remember that on that BOGO 50%, the highest priced one will be 50% off. So that's actually an awesome deal to get the highest priced one for 50% off versus just the cheapest one 50% off. So that again ends on Thursday, June 30th. Hello, Irene. Thank you for joining. I'm not sure who else is watching, but thank you for joining. So, all right. One more thing I want to remind you about that I talked about last week, and that is my Sweet Stampin' Summer bucket promotion. And I'm already started getting names inside my bucket. Hopefully you can see some of those tickets. And I mentioned this last week, and if you're on my email list, you also have gotten information about it. But basically, I'm running a promotion for the entire summer, and summer as we know it, because once the kids go back to school, for me, that means summer is over. So my promotion started last Tuesday, so 1 week ago on June 21st, the beginning of summer, and will end on the unofficial end of summer on September 5th. And the week of September 6th, which is when school starts for my kids, I will be doing prize drawings from from all the tickets in the bucket. So you can earn your tickets, like I said, all summer long. And some of the prizes will be adhesives or embellishments, stamp sets, gift certificates. And you can earn them by a couple different ways. Attending my regular events, and that would be in studio, or if you attend them virtually via Zoom. So those are my monthly card classes, including my Happy Hands class, my Fun Bunch Stamp Club class, the Let's Kit Together, or my Sweet Tea Stampers Create Together events. You can also get a ticket by commenting on my Facebook posts, and my Facebook Live. So like Irene just got herself a ticket for posting a comment on today's Facebook Live. And I'm going to be putting the tickets in each week, kind of going through all of these things and getting the tickets for each person that got tickets. You can also get tickets by placing orders. 1 ticket for a minimum of $30, 2 for a minimum of $50, and 5 tickets for a minimum order of $100. If you do come to one of my events and bring a new friend, you'll get 3 tickets. If you attend a special event, as an example, I just mentioned the Christmas in July card class. That's going to be on July 23rd. That is considered a special event. So if you come to that event, you actually get 3 tickets for attending into the summer Sweet Stampin' Summer bucket. And if another event that I know I'm going to have in August is a potluck Stampin' Bingo night. And more details will be coming on that soon. But nothing's been finalized yet, so I can't tell you the details yet. But if you attend that one, that's considered a special event. And then I'm going to have special ordering days. So the first one was last week when we had the free shipping. If you place an order specifically on June 21st, then you would have gotten 5 tickets for that. I'm going to have at least 3 more of those special shopping days throughout the summer. So be on the lookout for when I announce those, and that will get you 5 extra tickets on that, regardless of how much you spend. And then you'll also get your amounts for your spending. So just a quick little bit on that and reminder. So I'm ready to get this bucket filled up with all the tickets we possibly can. And I think it will be a lot of fun when September rolls around and I can celebrate all the winners of our Sweet Stampin' Summer promotion. Okay, so let's stamp. As I mentioned, this is the stamp set I'm going to be using today, the Sweetest Cherries stamp set. And it does have a coordinating punch that comes as an option to buy with it together. And when you do buy them together, it's considered a bundle, so you get the 10% off. This is found in the new annual catalog that launched in May, and it is found on page 19 of the catalog. So it's not part of an overall suite, but it is a bundle. So you can buy the stamp set by itself, you can buy the punch by itself, or you can bundle them together for $33.25, which I think is an awesome deal. It's got some really fun greetings that you can use independently or pair them together for different sayings and things. And so it's a lot of fun. And I like the size of some of these fonts. They're a little bit larger than some we have normally. And of course, I love the word sweet. Being a sweet tea stamper, I love having that word as something I can use on things like my bucket. So you saw my bucket there. That is the sweet from the Sweetest Cherries stamp set. Okay. All right, so let me get my things over here. I'm going to show you the card. This card is actually cased from the catalog. I don't know if you realize this, but you know, you typically in the catalog, you have pictures and samples here throughout the catalog. And then when you get to the back, there's also the bundles. There's always a picture, another sample with the bundle. So this is actually, I'm going to be doing my version of this card right here that is on page 152. And that's with the Sweetest Cherries bundle sample. All right. Okay, so here's the card I'm going to do. And I'm going to show you a couple different things on this. Because we are stamping on vellum. I don't know if you can see that very well in the camera, but that's actually a piece of vellum there. The base of this card is Petal Pink. And so I'm going to show you how I did those things and what I did them with. So, okay. So I'm going to start with bringing my little pad over. The piece of vellum is here. Actually, I'm not going to start with that one. Yes, I am. I'm going to start with a piece of basic white. I'm going to stamp on that too. And when I stamp on something like vellum or maybe a window sheet, you definitely want to use, if you're using black, you want to choose the StazOn ink, not the Memento. The StazOn is going to prevent the stamp from bleeding or the image from bleeding. So the other thing with StazOn is that it is considered a solvent-based ink, so it will stain your stamps a little bit. And these are photopolymer for this particular stamp set. So mine, you can see, are a little bit tinted. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. But I'm okay with that. It still works, and I still do clean it off when I'm done stamping with my project. But StazOn also, because it is a solvent-based ink, you do need to make sure you have a refill because it will evaporate naturally because this is not 100% sealed. The other thing you can do when you store your StazOn is make sure you store it upside down so that the ink is always at the surface of the pad. And the other thing I want to mention is if you wanted to keep it in a Ziploc bag, that'll help prevent it from evaporating. So I can already tell that I probably need to re-ink this a little bit. We did use it last week quite a bit. So I am going to ink this one upside down, the word sweet, because I want to make sure I get good coverage. And this is a smaller pad than our standard pads. I think it actually looks pretty good. And I'm going to stamp it on this piece of basic white. And when you stamp this, it also tends to stick to the paper, and I hope I did not miss my white piece. It looks like I did okay. See it, you can actually see it actually stuck to that, but I'm pressing firmly, and it almost, you have to almost peel it off, so just be very gentle. Oh, and I totally ripped it, so that's not gonna work. Oh, that's not a great example. That's because it's too sticky up here. Oh my gosh, y'all, that was not fun. All right, well, I've got my clean pad right here, so I'm just gonna clean it off. Temporary insanity. This is what happens in real life. And I got my paper. I should have re-inked it. That's my failure. So I'm just going to get this little bit of paper off of here and then make sure I clean it real quick. This is the trick with StazOn. If you don't re-ink it and it starts to dry, it becomes sticky. So, and I told myself I was not going to do this. We'll be okay though. I'm just going to clean it off. I'm using my standard chamois and just kind of giving it a wash. Making sure I get all those little bits of paper off. And what I'm going to show you is refilling your pad. So I've got my ink refill, and this is, again, StazOn specific. See, we all have fun with stamping, and we have time to make mistakes and fix them. All right, so the only problem is I did not bring another piece of scrap over here with me. So I've got to pop over and get that. I just want to make sure that all the paper is off there. You can still see some of the ink, but that'll eventually work itself off when I clean it again. So I am going to re-ink my pad. So when I re-ink it, I just basically go back and forth. And this pad, the StazOn, unlike our standard classic pads, is a firm pad. It is not the foamy, squishy. It is firm. So you're going to want to ink it, just squeezing gently as you're going back and forth. And then I use the tip to just kind of rub that in. So I'm going to give that a second to dry, and I'm going to go grab my other piece of white paper to redo this. Hold tight. Okay, now let's try it again. So I've freshly inked it. Probably should have done that anyway. I can already tell it's definitely not as sticky as it was. That's because it's nice and fresh. Now, my pad is older. I've had my pad a long time. So, you know, it also has some age on it. But it is a great alternative when you're trying to stamp on something like vellum or window sheet, something with a very slippery surface that's not porous, like our regular paper. All right, let's try this again. Stamp and release the paper. There we go. That's how it's supposed to look. And look how pretty that is. Actually, it's a really nice image and clean. So we're going to do the same thing using the same ink with the vellum piece. And for that, I'm going to make this one a birthday card. I'm going to, actually, I'm not going to do the vellum quite yet. Let's put it on our card base and do some other things. So let this dry. It typically does dry fairly fast, but I do give it a little bit of time to dry. So like I said, our card base is going to be our standard 8.5 by 5.5, and it is Petal Pink. Let's see here. Next thing we're going to do is, hi Tracy, thanks for joining. I am going to put my vellum on. A lot of times I don't like to put my cardstock on before I stamped it, but in this case I do want to see how the positions look. So, and then the other thing with vellum is that you've got to be careful about where you put your adhesives because they can show through. I'm going to be just using a little bit of Stampin' Seal, and I know I'm going to be putting that word sweet just about right there. So I'm going to just run a nice strip of the Stampin' Seal right about there on the back of the vellum, and it doesn't take a lot. And I'm going to just kind of put this catty corner across my card front, so it just takes one little strip of seal. Now obviously you see there's a problem. This is not going to fit in an envelope. I've got the edges hanging over, so I'm going to take my snips and just trim those edges off the piece that went over. So I cut this piece of vellum 2.5 by 6, and that's going to cover across the card for the most part. There might be a little bit poking out here or there depending on how you position it. I'm just snipping off what's sticking out over the edge of the card so that it can still fit in an envelope. All right. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp with this stamp here, which we were talking about what this looked like. And we came to the consensus that this is basically supposed to look like a basket weave. That's how I feel about it. So that we're going to stamp in Poppy Parade ink. So I'll be using Poppy Parade. So the only colors on this card are actually StazOn Black and Poppy Parade. Hello. Oh, you hardly use the StazOn. Yes, it will dry out. So definitely make sure you get a re-inker and have it close by, so that when you do want to use it, you're not frustrated with it being dried out. Again, because it is a solvent-based ink, Irene, it will evaporate. So again, keep it stored upside down, and also if you want to put it in a bag, that is sometimes helpful to keep it from evaporating so much. All right, so on this, we're going to just stamp right on this bottom part where the vellum did not go. So I'm just going to put a little bit of this stamp right on the bottom, and again I'm just eyeballing it like that. One more little bit here, like that. So it creates just a little bit of a background there. And then we've got a lot more stamping to do. I'm going to go back to the StazOn because I want to have that time for that to dry. So I'm going to do the birthday wishes. So as I mentioned earlier, this sweet is going to go about right there. So the birthday wishes is right here in the stamp set. Again, if you wanted to do like, thank you for being so sweet, you would just shift this down and put that above. Or if you wanted to do another saying, you'd have to just adjust where you put the word sweet. But I'm going to do birthday wishes. And we're going to stamp that again with the StazOn. And it's going to go directly on the vellum. Just make sure when you stamp on the vellum that you go straight down and straight up. You don't want to rock and roll and you don't want to smudge it. You go straight down and straight up, just like that. And again, I'm going to let it dry. I don't know if you can see, it is, you can tell from me, I can see it's a little bit wet. So I'm just going to put that to the side for now while I do my other parts that I need to stamp, which are going to be basically the cherries. So with the cherries, you have one that's kind of got a little divot out of it. I'm going to be using the whole cherry, the leaves and the stem. So I also wanted to mention that I have a scrap problem. And I'm looking for tips because over the next month or so, I'm going to be starting my purge to head to the studio downstairs. And one of the things I have to do is figure out what I'm bringing down, what I'm getting rid of. But of course, basic white scraps you always need. But lately I've been storing them in Ziplocs, but it is also hard to see and find the size that I want or need. So I'm looking for tips. So if you have tips on storing your scraps, send them my way. I'd appreciate that. Hi, Nancy. Thanks for joining. I didn't see you'd popped on there. You didn't know how to store your StazOn either. Well, I'm glad I could share that today, even with my mistake on my card. So, all right, I'm going to pull a few pieces, and I'm going to be stamping the leaves, the stems, and the cherries. The cherries I need a bigger piece for because it's a little bit bigger stamp, obviously. And this is my problem, is I have to dig in here, and I can't find the, I'll just grab this piece. This is way too big for the cherries, but that's what I'm going to use because it was easy to grab. All right, so let's start with the cherries because they're going to be in the Poppy Parade, which I already have open. Oh, I did forget. We're going to be using Granny Apple Green also on this card. And when you look at the punch, you'll notice that the cherry is at the very bottom of the punch. So when you go to punch, you're going to end up punching a lot of white pieces. So that is why I wanted to get a bigger, oh, that'll work. So I'm going to take this scrap here and do that instead. So I'm going to do 2 cherries in the Poppy Parade. And this stamp does have some texture to it, of course. And I've seen the cherries stamped in lots of different colors. Of course, there's different varieties of cherries, so use your imagination. There's some that's very dark, some that's very bright, some that have a yellowish tint to them. All right, so we're going to do 2 cherries for the card, and if I did this right, it'll be pretty good. We'll punch out this one, and then we'll slide it and punch out the other one. I love it when we have punches. It's so fun. Next, we're going to punch or stamp and punch out. Let's do the stems. I'm going to have lots of little scraps now. So I ended up not using that big scrap piece. So I'll put that back in the bag. All right, stems will be also in the Granny Apple Green. Sorry for the screeching. And when you look at the punch, the stem has the part that attaches to the cherry at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is take one strip and do one, because I need 2 stems. I've got 2 cherries. Do one that way, and then flip it and do the other way. Then we'll punch those out. You can easily line them up when you hold the punch upside down. Then we'll flip them around and do the other one. So 2 cherry stems. And now we need to do some of the leaves. So the leaves, There's just one stamp for the leaves in the set right here, but it is kind of curved, and if you figure out a way to make a template, you can punch two at one time. I did not really bother with that for this particular time because I have a lot of these strips. So if I just do it in this direction, I can stamp a bunch of them and then just slide it through like that. So I'm going to just stamp 2 leaves for my card today, and I'm going to kind of do it in that direction that the punch is, and we'll slide from the left into that first leaf, punch that one out, and then slide a little bit more to the left, punch the next one out. So I've got all my pieces and parts. I've got 2 leaves, 2 stems in the granny apple green. Where are we at? There we are. And then 2 cherries in the Poppy Parade. And then lots of scrap paper left over to finish doing more of those. All right, I'm gonna close my ink pads because otherwise I will stick my hand in them. All right, I'm getting some tips now. Tracy said I have an extra long plastic pencil box, 12 inches for storing a ruler, that I store my white cardstock strips and scraps in. Okay. I like that tip. Thank you. I will look into something like that. And I think I have the most scraps of white. Every now and again I will purge my other ones, but they tend to accumulate the most, the white pieces. All right, so let's pull it all together now. So for the word sweet, I'm actually going to trim off a little bit this way and just create a little slant. Not much, not a banner end, but just a little bit of a slant. And I totally did that wrong. Yep, that's how I'm rolling today. Oh, I should have done it the other way. I know what the problem is. Lack of sleep. So I'm going to just cut it and make a banner. So kind of like that. It was supposed to go like this, not like that. Now it goes like this. It's all good, right? Okay, so we're gonna stick this on, because our vellum's already down, we're gonna stick this on with some dimensionals. And put that right on top of the vellum, and again, try and mask where you may have used your adhesive to get your vellum on. And then we're gonna work on our cherries. So I'm gonna put one kind of tucked under a little bit, and that one's gonna go flat. So I'm just gonna use my Stampin' seal for the first one. Just kind of tuck it under a little bit. And then the other one, I'm gonna pop that one up with some dimensionals. Like that. Then I'm gonna adhere my stems. And what I'm going to do is adhere this part with a glue dot to the cherry itself. So I've got some glue dots. So the stem goes directly to the cherry first. And this way you can kind of move them around a little bit. And we want the cherries to kind of meet as if they were hanging off the cherry tree. So you may have to kind of stick them together. Now what I did was, because one is really long, I'm going to actually trim the long one a little bit because it's going to be camouflaged by the leaves next. And then I'm going to use dimensionals to put my leaves here where they would attach to the tree. So put this one here and this one here. Kind of overlapping a little bit. And the last thing is to add a little bit of bling. And so I'm going to use some of my Elegant Faceted gems. They're kind of neutral tones. They actually have a little bit of petal pink in them as well. So they add some bling without going straight rhinestones. And they're kind of got some opacity to them. So I'm going to use my take your pick tool and add some of these. We'll stick one here. This one's very shiny. This one's got the petal pink action going on, so we'll stick that one up here. And we'll take another one of those and put it over here. Okay, there you have it. Well, thank you all for watching today. Like I said, it's fun to make a mistake and then have to fix it straight away. But hopefully that shares an experience with you, and that, you know, we're not all doing it perfectly, and we got to just roll with it and figure it out as we go. And I just want to remind you that we have just a few days left to shop in our mini catalog that ends June 30th, so it ends on Thursday. There are quite a few things that are already sold out, but there are several things that are still available that are up to 50% off. You can, of course, shop online using my host code if you want at tanyareed.stampinup.net. And then I also have the Sweet Stampin' Summer promotion going, so some of you have already got tickets in the bucket, and I'll be adding those to the bucket all summer until September 5th. And then the week of school, when it starts here for my family, we will draw for at least 6 prizes, maybe more. So, all right, everybody, have a great rest of the day, and we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.